The Labour Party has now come out to say that it will fight in any injustice perpetrated against Nigerians through all legal and peaceful means after INEC declared the APC candidate Bola Tinubu as the winner of that election. The vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Yusuf Ahmed Datti, says the election was conducted in violation of the agreed promised INEC rules and guidelines. And he's been speaking at a press conference earlier today where he said that the Labour Party was planning to mount a challenge against Mr. Tinubu's election victory.
It's evident the institutions of the state and leaders that were supposed to ensure the sanctity of the election, again, and as in the past, collaborated and colluded to subvert the will of the good people of Nigeria. Please be assured of our determination to fight the injustice that have been perpetrated on Nigerians through all legal and peaceful means. While painful, we implore you all to please remain peaceful and calm, as our fight and determination for a new Nigeria is just beginning. It doesn't matter how low the confidence it is in the judiciary, the law is the law. And look, there's a confidence we have in them, and there's a confidence we have in ourselves and in our case. These are two different things. The confidence we have in ourselves and in our case is that elections, so to say, were not held, because from the polling units, the Electoral Act 2002 as amended provided the direct transmission of results. It is that direct transmission of results that says elections were held.
That's Yusuf Datti Baba. Ahmed, well, let's turn to the allegations being presented of fraud, lack of transparency and violence. And for an assessment, we're joined now in the studio by the Nollywood star, lawyer and spokesperson for the Labour Party's Presidential Campaign Council, Kenneth Okonkwo. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you very much, and thank you viewers at home for joining us.
I think many people, including international observers, agree that there was some evidence of things like vote buying, violence, and some people being disenfranchised by the failure of the technology and by a measure of intimidation. But the question is, how widespread was it?
It is as widespread as the observers who made the comment. Respectfully, I want to tell you that all of them, not some, the EU, the ECOWAS, the AU, the CSOs, both in Nigeria and internationally, they came to one conclusion. According to Thabo Mbeki, say INEC destroyed the trust of Nigerian people in the process. In a democracy, the process is more important than the result. And the process of conducting an election is very clear. I participated in this election. You go to the polling booth, you are accredited by the beavers, you go vote. At the conclusion of the matter, the vote is counted, the vote is announced publicly, the vote is transferred through electronic transfer to the server. Two levels of authentication through transfer. The first is uploading to the IREF portal, which is snapping the hard copy of the manual result and uploading it, which INEC was doing even before the authorization of electronic transmission. INEC yearned and told Nigerian people, and Nigerian people fought to grant them electronic transmission of results. The only reason for the amendment of 2022 Electoral Act is electronic transmission of results, to remove the mischief of the manual collation centers, where Nigerians have unanimously agreed is the albatross for free and fair election. in Mahmoud's INEC in 2023 presidential election, Mahmoud bypassed the process of transferring electronically the result of the presidential election intentionally and willfully in order to manipulate the election to pronounce Bola Tinubu the president-elect. Why did I use the word willfully and intentionally? Anybody telling you there was a glitch in Beavers is the first liar of this election. There were 3 elections conducted on the same day. No Beavers. I repeat, no Beavers malfunctioned. We were accredited by Beavers. He did not malfunction. We were counted, announced. They transmitted the result of the senatorial election. Beavers was beautiful. They did it with the House of Representatives. Beavers was on top of the game. Then in the presidential election, they are telling their own fools, not us, that Beavers suddenly started malfunctioning. No, it did not malfunction. There was a deliberate attempt to make sure that the presidential election is not transmitted so that they will resort illegally and criminally by the law. Section 60 subsection 4 of the Electoral Act made it clear. Count and announce the result in the polling unit. Transmit and transfer in the polling unit. Subsection 5. So the polling unit independence in the conduct of our election is sacrosanct. And anything beyond that is not only illegal, but criminal. Subsection 6 very clear. Anybody that contravenes this procedure has become a criminal and should be sentenced to jail. He will either pay a fine of 500,000 naira or go to jail for at least 6 months. So all the INEC officials that committed crime in front of Nigerian people are now by law criminals. And again,
well, they haven't been found guilty yet.
No,
by a court of law.
The finding of guilty is to punish. I'll give you an example. In law, if somebody has a land and you know your own land, somebody is building on it, and you don't scream and you keep quiet to finish, when he finishes, that land belongs to him. So when somebody is stealing from you, even in the local parlance, you have to shout, thief, thief, so that people will help you to apprehend them. In the local palace, you have to shout, ole, ole. If you don't do it, you may just be found guilty of contributory negligence. So the issue here is not that the court is for them to be punished. The first act in criminal proceeding is complaint.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the act has to, now, the court has to find them guilty before it punishes.
The act has not finished.
Yeah.
In 64, subsection 4, the act says you cannot collate, you cannot collate or announce results until you confirm and verify the results with the result already transmitted and transferred, recorded in the Beavers, the accredited voters, and in number of votes in the Beavers, section 64, subsection 4, subsection 5, and in subsection 6, it says if there is a dispute, in other words, somebody says, look at what I have, is different from what is in the Beavers. He said you would have to stop, compare with the result in the Beavers, and if there is contradiction, the one in the Beavers prevails. INEC chairman is the chief returning officer in the issue of presidency. There was no Beavers at all throughout, and he went on to collect and announce, making it a criminal offense again, according to subsection 64.
All right, you've laid out the law and you understand the process, but some will even say, going by your analogy of shouting thief, thief, thief.
Yes.
You could incite people
to
jungle justice.
English. You say, ole, ole.
Yes.
Oshio, oshio.
Okay. You could incite people to jungle justice if you do that. Some may say that. And that's what the governing party is saying, that there is a proper channel, which is the courts.
Yeah.
You seem to have all the evidence, you understand the law and what has been done here. Why are you so afraid of going to the courts? Because that's what the governing party is saying, that you're afraid to go to the courts.
Well, in
Why?
fairness, actually, the Labour Party has come out today to say that they are going to
mount a legal
court.
challenge.
They're
So
going to, although they haven't, but they said they're going to.
Right. Before you talk about healing, when there is a disease, you have to analyze the pathology. The pathology of this case is that there was a rigging. If there was no reasonable suspicion that there was no election at all, as a matter of fact, in the eyes of the law, there was no election at all. As long as there's no transmission from the polling unit. And look at, I know, this country, the level of impunity is really very insulting. You know what they're telling us? They will soon finish uploading the result. And they have done
After the fact.
140,000.
Out of 176,000 plus.
But after collating and announcing, which is a criminal offense, as a matter of fact, they are admitting to Nigerian people to the crime. Now, what are we saying? What I'm telling you is that if you don't cry thief, 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 then what are you going to court to do? And I told you that the first act in criminal procedure is complaint.
But you did
So
have...
who am I inciting? Okay, let me ask you, Adesonia?
Adesoa.
Adesu Abeni. So, if somebody wants to steal your goats in your house, you say, no, allow him to steal it.
First, I don't have a goat. But Mr.
I'm just saying,
Okonkwo,
what do you do?
I don't have a
So
goat.
what do you do?
Okay, but
You
thought
shout,
Nigeria.
thief, thief, thief. For people to come and help you.
Great. Okay,
Secure
so
your goats.
let's go back to the polling unit, because we've been hearing from all sides, in this matter.
Yes.
At every polling unit, as you have stated, there are levels to the process.
Right.
At the polling unit, you had agents.
Yes.
They signed on to these results. They watched them being uploaded, or maybe not. At the ward level, they did the same. It got to the state and got to the national, and then we hear opposition raising the alarm. What happened at those levels, the polling unit to the state level? What happened there?
Good. If you are following my Twitter, I raised alarm on the Saturday by midnight. I went there, and I'm a leader of my people, where we annihilated APC and PDP in Enugu State. In my polling unit, we have about 1,000 persons, and we got about 900 and something votes. What I am saying is that almost by midnight, because I instructed the polling unit agents that they must remain there, that if the result is not transmitted from there, is of no effect. They remained, and then reported to me, sir, the Senate is going, the House of Rep is going, the presidential is not going. I don't need any other person to tell me. That's a willful manipulation of beavers. Because when you have 3 elections, one cannot go, 2 go, and the third one did not go.
Yeah, that certainly
so I raised alarm.
raises questions.
Good. And I even raised alarm before the election on Professor Mahmood on Channels Television Thursday. I said he's a suspect, and I have my doubts. Because if a rec openly told you that certain tribe, that they are migrants in Lagos, and you saw evidence that all the PVCs that we are not shared, we are sharing the same name, and a rec is defending it. If you are the chief returning officer, you don't remove that rec, then with profound respect, you are complicit. And we saw what happened. I said it, that Lagos election is going to come this way. We led in Lagos election by more than 900 and something thousand votes. Don't take my words for it. Take the words of a PDP person in Lagos. That Labour led with this amount by their own agent's record. You know what? P2B won in the political capital of Nigeria, telling you that people that are near the administrative headquarters have acknowledged that he is the best administrator. He won in the commercial nerve center of Lagos, telling you that businessmen, elite businessmen and ordinary traders have recognized that he is the best commercially inclined administrator we should have. He won in national chairman of APC's polling unit. He won in the polling unit of the Director General of APC. He won everywhere in Nigeria, north, south, east, west. He's the only person that got 25% of the votes in all the geopolitical zones. Only person. And nobody had more states than him. Do you want him to kill these people politically before you give him his mandate?
Well, let me take you up on that question of Lagos, for instance, because Lagos obviously is the state with the largest number of registered voters and the largest number of people who collected their PVCs. So the expectation was that you would have upwards of at least 5 million voters, but they got barely 1.4 million.
Yes.
In your assessment, all that youth energy has been either maliciously or apathetically dissipated?
Good. There's no apathetically. It was maliciously destroyed. The votes, and some of them were open. All the places, as a matter of fact, they were warned by the one Baale of Ibarra. The tape was out there. He said, we've received directive from the top. And Bola Tinubu made the directive openly. He said it openly to his followers. Power is not served a la carte. You have to fight for it at all costs. You have to grab it at all costs. You have to snatch it at all costs. And you have to run away with it at all costs. And this was exactly what happened in Lagos State. And the Baale of Ibarra, or whatever, confessed that they received the directive to do that. And they warned everybody that if you don't do that, you will destroy you. It's there in the open. And that was what happened in Lagos. The one that hurts me is that women were not even spared of this. You saw this picture of a woman whose eye was nearly blinded. I don't know the savages that we have. What I do to women, I hold them, I cherish them, I love them, and I make LOVE to them. Forgive me. But I don't understand.
That rather takes the conversation in a different direction. I don't understand
that you will get a woman whose only problem is that she came to exercise her franchise that you told her is safe and secured, and you brutalized her. Those people are not human beings, they are savages.
Okay. Would you say what happened in Lagos played out across the country? Because even the international observers, which you started your opening speech with, they'd say that this election was largely peaceful, even though there were some other complaints. And, you know, just to piggyback on Charles's question, because I'm looking at the voter turnout numbers, 29%, even for a country that has witnessed low voter turnout. That is extremely low.
Good.
29%. So would you say what happened in Lagos played out across the country?
Good. It is because a lot of manipulations went in the registration in the first place that gave you a number that is bloated. Thank God for even beavers.
What numbers are manipulated now? The registration, the collection, or the vote itself?
Did you not see a 4-year-old boy who brought out the PVC? It's there in the open. So because they know that eyes are watching them, many of such did not come out. That's what I'm saying, the manipulation. And maybe a lot of the cattle that they gave names, that they registered, most of them did not come out. Remember that some immigrants from Niger Republic and Chad were openly arrested in Kanu. It's there. It was broadcasted. So when they know that the government is serious, those ones will not come. So when you purge the system already from those illegalities, it has reduced. Then secondly, in voting properly, you know that people have been threatened. They went to Southeast and told them they must sit at home, they will not vote. Of course, it was discarded. Then they went to Lagos and openly told them, if you're not coming out to vote APC, don't come out. And even on election day, they carried out the threats. So those ones that, some of them that had come and heard it, some of them ran back. Then again, after the voting, remember, they have not shown you the list of accredited voters by the beavers. because they willfully destroyed a lot of the votes of the opposition. They will now have to bring down the number of accredited voters, because one vote above it becomes overvoting. That's why you've not seen all those recorded voters. Can you see, I'm sorry to say this, the silliness of this? After collating and announcing against the law, they will now take the collated result and announced result and carry their beavers and go home and start inputting it. Not in the pulling it, in their government houses. After doing that, and they are releasing it at their leisure to tell you the level of impunity. Upon doing that, they will not tell you, we have inputted 140,000.
But INEC said he had a glitch. Can you prove that they were uploading these results from their government houses?
Very, very. I know what it was just called res ipsa loquito. Not even any objective, not even any oral evidence can contradict objective reality. What glitch did you witness in the senatorial seat? Have you seen any one person complaining about that?
No.
What glitch did you witness in the House of Rep? This is the same machine that is organizing the three. One machine, Beavers, not two.
Is it possible that...
Yes. So
like
it is
your party.
Impossible.
No, but let me ask you.
And let me tell you.
I'm not playing the devil's advocate. I want to ask you.
Let the devil's advocate. And you're not to help me.
Based on this fact.
Good.
We did see political parties that didn't have candidates for the National Assembly elections, such as your party. So, in that wise, you would have less candidates and less results to upload. However, when it came to the presidential elections, you did have 18 political parties, which is more. Do you think that perhaps that's why we saw the glitch for the president?
It was overloaded, basically.
Is it possible? And INEC did say in that statement that they had not upgraded to a national election level from an off-season cycle. That's what INEC said.
After collecting 305 billion naira of borrowed money, which our generations are going to pay for, any INEC man that tells you that should be sitting in jail. What did he do with the money? INEC did a mock voting.
They did.
These are all deceits. These are the reasons why such poor innocent lady went to vote. After doing the mock, they said, Nigerians, we are ready. Okay, at that point, you notice the so-called glitch. Section 24 said, it has become an emergency. You can't fulfill this law. The only choice you have is to postpone. Nothing else.
Right. So let's just be clear.
You cannot proceed in criminality. You can't.
Let's be clear on the
point. Section 24 said it clearly.
Right. Let's be clear on what you're saying.
Yes.
The crux of your anger, and by that I mean that of your party and your supporters, and the allegations of rigging, is the fact that INEC failed to upload in real time the results from the various polling units into its server in order to prevent any manipulation, but instead went through the process of manual entry and reading of the results. And in your assessment, that increased the chances of manipulation and misrepresentation. But you don't actually have any evidence of that manipulation and misrepresentation.
I am telling you the evidence and you're reiterating it.
Well, I'm asking, we need to be very
first
clear on the points you're making.
That 3 elections were held on the same day. You were not told there was any glitch until 24.
Yeah, but Adesua made a very good point when she said that the number of people who were being uploaded and the number of political parties who were being uploaded for the presidential election could easily, possibly, not probably, but possibly, could have overwhelmed the system.
Good. INEC knew the number of voters. INEC knew their system. And the funny thing is that in the presidential election, you have only one constituency. Between the Senate and the House of Reps, you have about 469 constituencies. And in 469 constituencies, no glitch. He was going. That ought to crash more. Each constituency has its own 18 times 18 by 469. That ought to crash more. It did not crash. Nothing happened to it. In the presidency, one constituency. and they are telling you glitch. And they did not tell you the glitch before they started. And they said they tested. They did a mock examination.
Yeah, but with a limited...
They commenced. That's what I'm saying. That's sample.
With a limited number of...
That's sample.
Yeah,
it's allowed. And it worked. And they already knew their capacity. It is not as something that on that day was when they realized the number of voters. They already knew. And then they did not tell us that there was a glitch.
Right.
Until, do you know that after 48 hours, there was only one state that was announced within 48 hours. No beavers, no accredited voters, no as in transmission. You didn't tell us there was a glitch. It was when Nigerians started shouting. They said there was a glitch. Meanwhile, that there was a glitch is not an excuse. In law, when you want to defend yourself, general traverse is not a defense at all.
Right. Okay. Let me ask
you. It has to be
this.
specific.
Yeah.
It has to be mentioned.
Right.
In which polling unit was there a glitch?
Right.
Throughout Nigeria, not one polling unit sent any result electronically to their server. Throughout the whole Nigeria, not one polling unit. There was no election. I put it to them.
Okay, well, you've made that point and you've made it stridently. But what I need to ask you is this. If or when this ends up in court and gets into the process of being decided by the courts,
yes,
can you and Nigerians trust that it'll be a fair, independent process? Do you have faith in the judiciary when it comes to election suits?
Sadly, no. Sadly. And why am I saying that? Because they can give you Machina treatment. Bashiru Machina. Bashiru Machina, an innocent poor Muslim, trusting in his party APC, trusting the untrustable. He went for his primary, used his meager resources, contested. When he was contesting, Ahmed Lawan was contesting for the presidency. In front of everybody, koro koro. After that, APC said Lawan is their nominee. Koro koro. And when they went to court, Ahmed Lawan stopped at Court of Appeal and said he will not appeal. And the party, political party, went to appeal. And yet they gave order in favor of the Ahmed Lawan. Knowing that they cannot give order positively, they now relied on technicality. Meanwhile, justice, the present principle of law by the Supreme Court, is that you cannot terminate justice on the altar of sheer technicality. That is the position of the law. That Supreme Court denied the poor Bashiru Machina his nomination based on they would have used writ of summons instead of originating summons. Meanwhile, in the practice direction, they say you should use originating summon. Meaning, because they want to snatch it from him, even if he had used writ of summon, they said no, in the practice direction, you ought to use originating summon. But Machina said this is open robbery. And you know what? Unfortunately, I agree with him. So, whether I have my doubts, oh yes, because you can deliver judgment without delivering justice.
Incredible.
So what they are doing is delivering judgment, not delivering justice. So whether I have my doubts, Boko,
okay,
plenty.
All right. Two quick things and very quickly.
Yes.
Can you define this relationship between Labour Party and PDP that we're beginning to see in the aftermath of this election? And secondly, the president-elect, Bola Tinubu, because he has been, he has been given certificate of return by INEC, identifying him as Nigeria's next president. He has given 2 speeches today. And in those 2 speeches, they were reconciliatory, most people would say, extending the olive branch. In fact, mentioning political parties that were in the race with him, including the Labour Party, when he said the obedient. Are you saying you're not going to be extending your hand to receive that olive branch because you've gone to court? Are you considering it as a party?
What I am saying is that let him give us our mandate. We will do a better reconciliatory speech and thank him very well for giving us our mandate, and God will bless him. That's what we want him to do. Saying whether I will accept, I didn't even listen to it. I said there was no election. How can I be approbating and reprobating?
What's the relationship between Labour Party and PDP? Very quickly.
There is no relationship.
Okay.
What you have, when you in that collation, you saw many agents there. Are they relating? Because they are sitting together. No.
You have joint press.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
That we had joint press conference because both of us are plaintiffs in this case. Does not mean we are relating.
Okay.
We have joint interests we want to address.
All right.
So there is no relationship.
Right. Kenneth, I want to thank you very much indeed. And before you go, let me make the point that we were supposed to have someone. We extended an invitation to the ruling APC party. They confirmed they were going to give us a guest. And then just 15 minutes before they were due to go on air, they said to us that the guest will no longer be available. So let's just be clear on that. Kenneth, I want to thank you very much indeed. And Kenneth Okonkwo is a Nollywood star, lawyer and spokesperson for the Labour Party's Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We wish
Please,
you the
I
best.
just want to make one comment. I don't want anybody to address me by any title again in Nigeria. Nobody in Nigeria today is honorable enough to bear any title. Worst of it, if you call me chief, because it sounds like thief. So please, I don't want, and don't know doctor,
Okay,
no nothing.
we'll keep that in mind.
You only add Mr. because to know that I'm a man, especially in this modern time when people don't know
Okay, let's
whether you're a
go.
man.
Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much,
much indeed.
Mr. Kenneth Okonkwo.